I first have to make a declaration of acceptance of office. Right. So I, Geoffrey Richard Austin, having been elected to the office of the Mayor of the Royal Borough of Kingston upon Thames, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. And I will now take the oath of allegiance. I, Geoffrey Richard Austin, of 97 Clifton Road, Kingston upon Thames, do swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law. Right, what with the chains and this and the very heavy robes, I really feel weighed down. Next on the agenda it says New Mayor's thank you speech. I was told it shouldn't be too much like an Oscar winner speech, so I'm not going to say, you know, I want to thank my mom, my pa, my agent, my next door neighbour's pet dog. No, none of that. But I do have to make some very important thank yous that I'd like to put on record. Firstly, the late Councillor David Edwards, who first encouraged me to stand for election to this council over 10 years ago. Then, my friends and colleagues in Canterbury Ward, who not only voted for me, but persuaded enough of the other residents to do so too. And of course, my wife Sheila, who when I've come home late from council meetings, has patiently listened to all my grumbles about committee chairmen who let meetings go on far too long, councillors who made monotonous rambling speeches. Anybody, does that ring true? No? And those who voted the opposite way to which I felt they should have done. Sheila has heard about you all. But seriously, I do want to thank you all. My 47 councillor colleagues who at last month's council meeting unanimously elected me as your mayor for this year. I am so aware of what a big responsibility this is. Kingston is such a thriving town, moving faster than ever now into the 21st century, although not everyone agrees which route we should be taking, perhaps. But I appreciate that representing this wonderful Royal Borough as your first citizen will be no easy task. And also that I have a particularly hard act to follow, not only these names behind me, but particularly Roy, who's enjoyed a real record-breaking year as mayor. I think more engagements undertaken than any previous mayor, and a record amount raised for his chosen charity, the Hospital Dementia Appeal, which I'm sure he'll be telling you a bit about later. Absolutely fantastic. So I trust that I'll be able to meet all the challenges I will undoubtedly face during the next year, and I can repay the trust that you have shown by electing me. Thank you very much. Now, Item 4 on the agenda is the minutes of the last council meeting. May I sign the minutes of that meeting held on 26 April 2016 as correct? I'll do that later. Item number 5 is the appointment of the Deputy Mayor. I, Geoffrey Austin, Mayor of the Royal Borough of Kingston upon Thames, acting under the provisions of paragraph 5 of Schedule 2 of the Local Government Act 1972, hereby appoint Councillor Rowena Bass to be the Deputy Mayor of this Royal Borough. Yes, item 6 on the agenda now, appointment of Mayoress. I have appointed my wife Sheila to be my Mayoress. Item 7 on the agenda is the appointment of the Deputy Mayor's escort, and I'm pleased to announce that the Deputy Mayor has appointed her husband Alistair to be her escort. Item number 8 on the agenda is the appointment of the Mayor's chaplain. I've appointed the Reverend Jonathan Wilkes of All Saints Church, Kingston upon Thames, to be my chaplain for the year. I will also be following the practice of a number of former mayors and appointing associate chaplains from some of the different faith groups represented in the borough. And I'll be able to provide details of all those appointed at the next council meeting. Item number 9 is Mayor's announcements. First of all, I'd like to formally announce that my charity for the year will be Momentum. I'm sure many of you know Momentum already. For those who don't, it's a wonderful local charity in Kingston. It's been going about 12 years now, and it supports families of children who've got cancer and other life-threatening conditions. It does wonderful work, and I hope that you will all give it as much support this forthcoming year as you can. Well worthwhile charity. The annual mayoral Sunday civic service is going to take place at All Saints Parish Church, Kingston, on Sunday the 29th of May 2016 at 4 p.m, and I hope to see as many of you there as possible. A date has not yet been set for the dinner for the retiring mayor, but again, details will be circulated as soon as he's chosen where he wants to go. And finally, on behalf of the mayoral team, I'd like to thank Kingston Race and Equalities Council for these splendid garlands. And also, and also announce that the annual cricket match between the Kingston Race and Equalities Council and the Mayor's Council 11 will take place Saturday the 16th of July. And it's a very low standard of cricket, I have to say. And therefore there is no excuse for anybody of any age or gender not to turn up and play. We've had players as young as 6 or 7 years old, and councillors probably not going to see 70 again taking part. So yes, please let me have your names if you're available to come and have a fun afternoon. And also on a sporting note, I've got a couple of places in the Prudential Ride London race for anyone who would like to have a long cycle ride and raise money for the Mayor's charity. So if there are any keen cyclists there, councillors or members of the public, please come and see me afterwards and tell me. And as I say, 2 places up for grabs. Item 10 on the agenda is vote of thanks, and I will now invite Councillor Kevin Davis to come forward to the microphone to propose a vote of thanks to the Emeritus Mayor, and that's going to be seconded by, I believe, Councillor Terry Payton. Councillor Davis.
Mr Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Deputy Lieutenant, Honourable Alderman, Member of Parliament, Councillors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Well, the year of Mayor Aurora has been one of great fun, it's been great frolics, and some spectacularly serious fundraising. It is an extraordinary achievement, which I know Roy will want to talk about a bit later. I know he's experienced the full joys of the Kingston Carnival, to switching on Diwali lights, where I learned to pat the bulb or twist the dog, I can't remember which one it was. But anyway, I did it sort of in the marketplace on a quite dark evening actually, which is also cited rain, but that was an extraordinary event as well. I even gather there are now videos circulating of our mayor moonwalking, which all I can say to you is that somebody's interested in history, is that the Heritage Department of the Council is now looking for those videos because they really clearly have to go down into the archive. Roy met the Queen. I gather she thought that Kingston was a nice place. He ran numerous parlour open days. He had a spectacular Mayor's Ball. He even, as well as meeting the Queen, actually lit a beacon for the Queen in the river for her birthday. All done with that customary smile of graciousness, not just Roy, but from Anisha and Sonali as well, all helping each other through this year. 100 years ago, in 1960, Kingston didn't have a mayor. There was no mayor. In fact, in 1916, we were midway through the First World War, and there were many brave men dying in fields in France. In fact, I gather even in the last week, Mayor Aurora attended an extraordinary event that marked a period of East Surrey Regiment in those trenches, where they ceremoniously took footballs back from the East Surrey Regiment. An extraordinary event. Many of you won't be aware of, but this wasn't the Christmas Day football match between the English and the Germans, which probably the Germans won. This was actually a troop manoeuvre by the commanding officer to try and help his troops as they went over the top to avoid bullets hitting them, throw out footballs and dribble them across the fields. Of course, it didn't work. It was not until after the war, actually, that in November 1918, that a new mayor was installed for the first time since 1913. Why mention this? And it's a bit sombre, isn't it, at the First World War at this particular stage. But it does make an interesting point for me, and that is that all mayoralties only last a year. And if you excuse me for a minute, Roy, you are now history. We forget that sometimes. And you join a great line of first citizens and residents who changed the entire history of this borough through your hard work, your charitable efforts, and your love of this great Royal Borough. Your name will now join some of the great Kingstonians, two of which were born actually 100 years ago today, Margaret Lockwood and big old Len Hutton, who was also a great Kingstonian. You also join a list of great former mayors, many of which will be in this room still alive today, but others such as Alderman Cyril Judge, who had an Alderman Judge Royal named after him, Doris Tapley, Sir Edward John Scales, OBE, Sir Alfred Woodgate, William Finney, Sir Charles Burge, actually our first mayor after the First World War, Alfred W. Homersham, Charles Lottle, the retailer, who used to own what is now Next in the marketplace, William Trubsell, the memorial in the marketplace, William Hodgson, the brewer, and the first mayor of Kingston in its current form, its old form rather, Thomas Fricker, from 1835. Roy, to that list, is now added your name. And I hope you have not only pride in what you've achieved, but have the knowledge that you, your wonderful wife, and your beautiful daughter are now part of the fabric, the warp and the weft of this Royal Borough. There is a well-known Irving Berlin song, which some of you may know from a film called White Christmas. It's about an army general who's retired and he's slightly lost his way. It goes, "What do you do with a general when you stop being a general? What do you do with a general who retires?" I'm not going to sing it all, but it does go on. They fill his chest with medals while he's across the phone. They spread the crimson carpet when he comes marching home. The next day someone hollers when he comes into view, "Here comes that general," and they all say, "General who?" The good news is that this mayor, Mayor Aurora, will still be a mayor when he retires. The good news is that Roy's mayoralty will live on in the hearts and minds of every child and every resident of Kingston whose gaze he caught or whose hand he shook. Roy, you've been a great mayor, and on behalf of us all in the Royal Borough, I salute you and I thank you.
Mr Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Representative Deputy Lieutenant, Member of Parliament, Member of European Parliament, distinguished guests, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a privilege and my privilege to propose a vote of thanks to the outgoing Deputy Mayors of this municipal year. Firstly, Councillor Clark, who attended many events, fetes, fairs and which were her particular favourite. I'm reliably informed that Councillor Clark was keen to purchase many items from the stalls. I've also been reliably informed that Councillor Clark is one of the largest donators to the fairs and local charities across the borough. I don't know if there's a link there, but there could be. Jeff took over the role some months ago. He certainly hit the ground running, a reminder of the energy and commitment from his rugby and refereeing days. A keen sportsman, a supporter of youth activities, like cadet forces, international youth arts festivals, your first engagement. Following on from this vote of thanks, I'm very much looking forward to the energy and the passion Mayor Austin will bring to our Royal Borough as the new Mayor of this Royal Borough of Kingston on Thames. Thank you very much.
Councillor Aurora, you'd like to come forward.
Thank you, Councillor Davis and Councillor Penton. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, Representative Deputy Lieutenant, correct? Only took me a year. Honorary Freeman, MP, MEP, Honorary Alderman, distinguished guests, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. A very good evening to you today. The Royal Borough of Kingston upon Thames is a truly multicultural community, and there are people here this evening from several different countries. I will attempt to greet each one of you with your mother tongue. So here goes. Good evening, Radha Swami, Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, Assalamu Alaikum, Vanakkam, Dzień Dobry, Saivano, Hello, how's it? Annyeonghaseyo, Bonjour, Ni hao, Grazie, Buenos dias, Salam, Maraban, Good day, Kumsta, Jambo, Dorboden, Machi, Kalimera, Adesien, Sobaker, and Hola. And of course, I apologize if I've missed anybody's mother tongue today, or indeed pronounced any of the above incorrectly. A very warm welcome, as I said to you, to the Guildhall. So, wow, what an amazing year it has been. And it all started right here, exactly a year ago, almost to the day. In fact, driving home that evening after my merrymaking, I remember asking the mayoress, did you ever, in your wildest dreams, think that I, Roy Aurora, would become the mayor of the Royal Borough of Kingston upon Thames? To which the mayoress responded, Mr. Mayor, I have many wild dreams, but I'm sorry you're not in any of them. So that told me. So moving on from that, at the beginning, the mayoress and I set ourselves out 3 priorities. These stem from personal values of tolerance, growth, and what we call SIVA, which means selfless service. We had set ourselves as 3 aims to encourage community engagement, promote Kingston upon Thames, and raise awareness and funds for our charity, which of course was Kingston Hospital Dementia Field. And what a fantastic year it has been. It has been hard work, but I have to say highly rewarding. We have had the privilege of meeting people, organisations, and attending events that we would not ordinarily have been able to do. We have a dedicated, hard-working mayoral team, and with their support, we attended well over 625 engagements in our borough and some outside. Repeatedly, we have been humbled by people's generosity and the goodwill that we've seen. Throughout the borough, there are excellent examples of people coming together from all walks of life, working hard, volunteering and serving the community to enrich lives, while sharing and keeping alive our rich culture and heritage. What a pleasure and a privilege it has been to attend such varied events in our Royal Borough, and to be part of this colourful and rich community, which I feel proud to call my own, my home and my patch. The Royal Borough of Kingston upon Thames has given my family and I so much. When I started my mayoral year a year ago, they told me that I was the first citizen of the borough. And I have to admit, I didn't really know what that means. I still don't know what that means. And throughout the year, I have instead always considered myself as the first public servant of the borough and went about my mayoral duties. To say that this year has been amazing would be a huge, huge understatement. One of the best things about this year has been that it's been all about people, not politics. It didn't matter whether you lived Dems, Conservative, Independent, or Labour, or one of the others. It was all about people, and that's what made it so, so brilliant. Some of our highlights, as the leader has already pointed out, were of course Diwali lights, which we celebrated, the turning of the Diwali lights, the very first time in the history of Kingston, New Malden, Circle and Chessington. I also did have the pleasure of meeting Her Majesty the Queen. You quite rightly pointed out, she described Kingston as being lovely. That's on record. I also had the pleasure of attending 10 Downing Street, apparently the first RBK mayor to be invited to that, and that's thanks to our wonderful MP there, James Berry. Christmas lights turn-up was a huge event. We were brand new lights. We turned them on in Kingston, Surbiton, New Malden, and was a great community integration and cohesion. We had live TV there. London Live came along, and I had to fight that corner that this is the most premier borough in the world. Because they challenged me. They said that Kensington Chelsea was the most premier borough. I pointed out to them that it wasn't, and he wasn't convinced. And I told him to come down and visit me. I'll take him downstairs to our history centre. We have documented evidence that we are the #1 royal borough, and it's on record. We also promoted Kingston's history throughout the year, visited schools, clubs, businesses, charities, and had over 700 parlour visits, informing people about the history of Kingston, that it is the birthplace of England, the oldest chains, the new mayor wears. I pointed here thinking I've got them on, but I don't. And of course, the oldest Macy's in the country that we have next door. Christmas Day was a wonderful event. 9 events back to back. We spent about 45 minutes at each. They started about 9 o'clock, finished about 6 o'clock. Thanking services provided by various organisations, churches, YMCA, care homes, police, ambulance, fire brigade, and all other emergency services. And what was really interesting was it was a truly multicultural event. Because here you had, in one car, we had a Hindu mayor with his Hindu wife and his Hindu daughter, driven around by a Jewish rabbi with his Jewish daughter, spreading the cheer of Christmas around the Royal Borough of Kingston upon Thames. It was an indicative feature of that we are truly multicultural and we do live harmoniously and peacefully together. We opened the doors for the parlour this year, not once but twice, once in December, once in April. And that was in response to one of the comments that I got more often than any other comment. Now, excuse me, I'm sweating because it's pretty warm here. One of the comments that I got more than any other comment throughout the year was that the amount of people who had worked for Kingston for years, one of them in fact over 25 years, but had never ever stepped foot in the parlour. So we changed that. We sent out an email, and in December and in April we had, including Roy Thompson here, who is of course acting chief executive. Is that true? Is he? I wasn't sure whether we appointed a new yeah, I wasn't sure whether he was appointed or not, but okay. But I assume you're still acting chief executive. The highest rank you can have possibly in this borough. Roy had been working here for 12 years, I believe, and he set foot in the parlour for the first time last October. I found that incredible, and I found that unacceptable, and that's why the mayor and I decided that we were going to open up the Royal Borough of Kingston upon Thames mayoral parlour for all the staff to come down, have a cup of tea and a slice of cake. In fact, they came on my birthday, which was lovely, because there were about over 70 of them come, which was brilliant. And I would recommend that you take a look at the mayor's Facebook page, because we did post all the pictures up there. There's a huge load of pictures from the past year, so please do go along with them. Now, the mayoral ball, which is probably the highlight of the entire year. 203 people gathered at the All Saints Church. Due to people's generosity, we've raised a phenomenal £28,500 on the night. And as far as I'm aware, that is probably the most raised in RBK on one particular day. Above all that, I got the label of Mayor of Pop, thanks to Daniela over there for tweeting and throwing the gauntlets to Sutton and Wandsworth and Wimbledon and all other boroughs, saying that our mayor's got better move than yours. The total raise for the year, as the leader quite rightly said, was phenomenal. To date, we're still counting, I have to say, but it is 68,500. It is still rising, I have to say, because we are still receiving, would you think, through the generosity of the wonderful people that we live amongst, pledges and donations. And I'm quietly confident that I'm pretty sure we'll exceed 70,000. Now, in addition to that, what's really wonderful, and thanks to the Friends of Kingston and Mr. Mayor here, a few weeks ago, they donated £25,000 to the Kingston Hospital Dementia Group. So further, getting us closer to our target. But above the money that we raised, what was equally important, perhaps even more important, was the awareness of dementia. That's what was missing a year ago, and that's what we set out there to do 12 months ago and say that we must do. Through speeches, workshops, courses, attendance of care homes, we led, which has now led on to where's Maria? There's someone here. Councillor Nathan. We're now, Councillor Maria Nathan is heading up a task force which has been tasked to convert Kingston and make Kingston the most dementia-friendly town. And that's all because of this movement that we had started about a year ago, that dementia is unfortunately here to stay, and we've got to do something about it. So, all in all, it hasn't been a good idea. When I was seeking to be elected as mayor, in my speech, I remember last year, I had said that I understood the challenges, the gravitas and the importance attached to this role, and that the mayor has to give his all at every single event. I sincerely hope the mayoress and I have succeeded in that endeavour. Now, what I will close on, and there's several thank yous to do because a lot of people did do a lot of work throughout the year, so bear with me. I'd like to firstly thank Colonel Geoffrey Godfrey, our wonderful deputy lieutenant, got it right, who has been very supportive and great fun and has been teaching me how to say that word for the last 12 months. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you also, I don't know if he's here still, Father Martin and indeed my other chaplains for the support and kind words before each full council meeting. Thank you to Deputy Mayor, Councillor Mary Clark, for her support during her tenure. Also, a very big thank you to my most recent Deputy Mayor, Councillor Jeff Austin, and Deputy Mayoress, Mrs. Sheila Austin, for helping out enormously in the last few months, and of course, good luck to them all, to them both for the next 20 months. Thank you also, which often goes missed, to Andrew Bassett for the briefing packs before each full council meeting, and for always being at hand to explain the very, very complicated, unnecessarily complicated rules and regulations about our council matters, and indeed for advising me very, very wisely whilst I'm sat up there and asking what should I do next. Thank you also to Jean Cousins and her staff, of course, for organising the logistics surrounding these meetings and for painstakingly keeping a record of everything that is said. Thank you, former mayors, Councillors Ken Smith, I know he's not here, Shiraz Mirza, Yoganathan, I'll get that right, David Cunningham, of course, for covering for me on more than one occasion, often at very, very short notice. Thank you very much. Thank you to Honorary Alderman Dennis Doe and Patrick Codd, who sat at the back, for their counsel and mentorship. Thank you to our leader and deputy leader, who was at the deputy leader at the time, of the council, Councillor Kevin Davis and Councillor Gage Bullock-Blythe. One of the very few people who can say that. For continuously helping and supporting me throughout my whole year. Now, 3 years ago, I knew very little about politics. In fact, there are many people in this room who would argue that situation hasn't really changed. But nevertheless, I would like to, as many people who have taught me about politics, there's one person in particular, it's Ben Mallet, and I'm not sure if Ben's here too. Is he here? I can see him, he's over there. Stand up, sir. Ben, ladies and gentlemen, is a wonderful, wonderful young man. He's a man who is a lot wiser than his age would otherwise suggest. He has taught me enormous amount, thank you Ben, about politics, local politics and national politics. I thank you, sir. Thank you to Daniela from the comms team for tweeting our engagements, although I'm not sure about the Mayor of Pop tweet, which has of course gone viral, and hardly a day goes past without somebody commenting on moonwalking and dancing. Even Jean, I least expected that from you. The other day she came along very criminally and said, please would you like to sign this? And I signed it very nicely. Oh no, could you do this as well? By the break dancing, so this is wonderful. Thank you, that's very, very kind. Thank you to the Royal Borough of Kingston upon Thames councillors for electing me and giving me this huge opportunity and indeed honour. Despite being the new kid on the block, you put your trust in me. I sincerely hope I didn't let you down. And it goes without saying thank you to my ward councillors, Councillor Julie Pickering and Councillor Kathy Roberts, for taking care of the ward caseload throughout the year, thereby allowing me time and space to fulfil my mayoral duties. A huge thank you to my mayoral staff, Claire, Harry, Monica, Louise, Gail, Mick. Louise and Gail were absolutely stars on the night of the ball. They went way beyond the call of duty, as were, of course, Alison and Brian. I think the Mayoress is going to come forward now. I will continue talking while they do what they need to do. Thank you to Alison, who plays such a significant role in the Mayor's office, and Jeff, you will find out shortly, no doubt, so with Rowena, often and regularly going way, way, way beyond the call of duty and the extra mile. And I hope Andrew, your boss, will forgive me for saying this, that, well, indeed the leader, even if the council were to double Alison's salary, you would still get excellent value for money. Thank you to Brian, my mace bearer. Thank you, sir. Who has, over the last 12 months, become a dear friend. He has been absolutely incredible. Proactive, efficient, totally professional at all times. He has a great, great, great sense of humour. We had a great year filled with laughter and fun. The most amazing thing, and this is the most amazing thing, and I'm shocked this has happened. The most amazing thing is that he has got me on time to every single engagement. And those who know my timekeeping know that is nothing short of miracle. Thank you to my charity fundraising committee for working so hard throughout the year and doing so much. The figures speak for themselves. It goes without saying, you've done an amazing job. Thank you to the sponsors, of course. But at one organisation especially, in particular, I'd like to mention is Kingston Lodge Hotel, who from day one, not only as mayor, as when I became councillor, have been so supportive. And every time I needed something done, the answer was yes, we'll sort it out. And I thank you, because from day one, right away, even up to today, one of the owners is here today. So thank you, Kingston Lodge Hotel. Thank you to the Kingston Hospital Dementia Field staff, Chloe, Serge, Michelle, and Catherine, especially Chloe, because I know she's going through a tough time right now, but she did remain diligently on the task of raising funds for us. Thank you to the trustees of the Mayor's Charitable Trust and for their guidance and counsel. And above all, thank you all of our friends and colleagues for their support and forbearance throughout the year. The amount of time I have received a phone call where they have said they wanted to go somewhere they couldn't because they had a mayoral engagement, they've been very, very, very understanding. And I got a call this afternoon, one of them said, is it finished yet? I said, no, another 24 hours, I'm all yours. You can ring me tomorrow and I will go out. And finally, a couple of other things just closer to home. Thank you to my family, Manisha's mum and dad, who couldn't be here unfortunately today, and JG, brother Sami to you, for their love and blessing. My late father, who we dearly called Papaji, for bringing me to Kingston all those years ago when I was a child. I know he would have been happy today. Thank you also to all of Manisha's and my brothers and sisters, and all our other family, extended members, all 328 of them, or something like that, for their undying support and love. You have been simply, simply amazing. Thank you. And all that leaves is former Mayoress Sonali Arora. Where is Sonali? Sonali has been so supportive and it's a true inspiration and a real joy to have beside me whenever she came along for the various engagements. She's quite rightly told me in no uncertain terms what to wear and more importantly what not to wear. And I thank you for that. Because I know sometimes it did look pretty hideous. I actually thought it looked pretty smart most of the time. Clearly not. So Sonali, you're absolutely right. So, for the last 8 months, she has been incredibly busy at CCHQ, doing some crazy hours on Zach's recent campaign, but still found time for mayoral duty, and indeed still found time for me. Whilst throughout the entire year, everyone was busy calling me Mr. Mayor, she called me Papa. And that, as any father in this room will understand, was something that I needed to hear every single day. So thank you so much, Sonali.
They deserve an on-speed.
They deserve to be credited. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. I will. Okay. So now we come to the former mayoress, Manisha Arora. What can you possibly say? How do you thank someone who has unconditionally, without any expectation, accompanied you to over 625 plus engagements? Apart from the 3 or 4 engagements, I think Manisha's accompanied with every single one of them in the last year, including fundraising and internal staff meetings, sealing meetings. Alison knows this, she was there most of the time. Someone actually said to me that the mayoress, they see the mayoress at the Guildhall more than they see some of the councillors. And indeed some of the officers as well, I'm told. She is loved by all, and on more than one occasion, I have been told to stay at home and send her instead. Throughout the past year, her dedication and support has been unprecedented. She is hugely popular, way more than me, and I don't know why, but she is, and was an exceptional mayoress. To me, Manisha has been a friend, philosopher, a guide, a speechwriter, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, a judge. She played that last one very, very well, I have to say. And much, much more. But despite all of these words, the best way I could possibly articulate what she has meant to me in the year, and I'm sorry, Mr. Mitt, it's going to take about 2 or 3 minutes, I assure you, but it is worth it.
I can't interest you in a 4-minute rule.
Sir, I have given my life, 1 year of my life to RBK. I ask you please, to go on. Thank you. Unless anybody objects. No, thank you, sir. This is important to me. This is my moment. This is Mayoress's moment, actually. It's a true story, and it's to do with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton in his first year of presidency. At the end of the second year, Bill and Hillary Clinton were on holiday, on a driving holiday in a deserted road in America. They needed to fill up, and they pulled over to a petrol station, or otherwise known as a gas station in America. And as is customary in gas stations in America, the attendant comes to the car and fills up for you. So this chap came and filled up, and Bill noticed from his mirror that he recognized the chap. His name was Tony. Tony happened to be Hillary Clinton's long-standing boyfriend back at college. So they got out, they went warmly. They asked Tony what he's doing. He said, well, my folks retired. They gave me the gas station. I came out here with my family. We settled down here. Bill explained he went on to be president, although Tony knew that already. But what was interesting was they met for about 20 minutes, and then Bill and Hillary Clinton went off and back to their road journey. About half a mile down the road, Bill Clinton being Bill Clinton, with a smugness in his voice and a little bit of arrogance, turned to Hillary and he said, honey, did you think, just think, all those years ago, if you had married Tony, today you'd be the wife of a petrol station attendant. Hillary, being Hillary, smiled sweetly, tilted her head, said, no, honey, if all those years ago I had married Tony, today Tony would have been the president of the United States of America. And ladies and gentlemen, I can categorically, emphatically state that I would not have been the mayor of the Royal Borough of Kingston upon Thames had it not been because of Manisha Arora. So, Mr. Mayor, you'll be very pleased to hear this next word. Finally, I would like to thank you all, the people of the Royal Borough of Kingston upon Thames, for gracefully, enthusiastically and selflessly doing so much hard work for making our Royal Borough an amazing place to live, work and visit. And I would just like to say to the people of RBK, if through the course of the year, inadvertently, the Mayoress and I have said or done anything to upset or offend anybody in any way, I humbly apologize and ask for your forgiveness. It has been an absolute pleasure, an honor, and indeed a privilege to serve you all as mayor. Thank you so much for such a brilliant and amazing year. God bless you all, and God bless the Royal Borough of Kingston upon Thames. Thank you.
I must apologise to Manish for nearly cutting Roy short so that she didn't get the accolade that she deserved. First mistake of the new mayoral year. However, I'm going to ask